right standards, right education system.
I'm the former Frankie.
But the Northwest pass, we really need somebody different.
Your career, you're used to winning. Life, it was everything to us.
7 or 8 weeks of two-a-days.
They really made me appreciate
We're allowed to win.
it means coming in and we'll be shooting the whole time.
Let's go back real quick to the Enid Walk of Fame. Of course, we have training in confined space.
Gentlemen, maybe you know a little more.
A good safety tip on that, Steve.
Putting a hat on and getting out there and doing the job.
Television model that you watched growing up.
Houston, this is the International Space Station.
City Connections begins right now.
Hello again and welcome to the Enid Television Network studios. I'm Steve Kine with the City of Enid, and welcome to City Connections. It's good to be with you each and every week as we talk about things that are important to Northwest Oklahoma, to Enid, and also the state of Oklahoma. My special guest today is jokingly, he has more degrees from education. He has more degrees than a thermometer. I know that's an old joke, but the guy has a very impressive background in his professional life and also military life. My special guest today is Michael Thompson. And Mr. Thompson has over 32 years of service with the state of Oklahoma, including 27 years with the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety, starting as a trooper back in 1990. Thompson rose to the rank of major with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol before he was appointed by Governor Mary Fallin as the commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, and that was in 2011. And then as the commissioner, Michael Thompson has the dual responsibility to serve as a cabinet secretary for safety and also security. And then the other personality that he has, the other role that he has, is his military capacity. Brigadier General Michael Thompson is assigned as the Assistant Adjutant General for the Oklahoma National Guard. And Thompson joined the Oklahoma National Guard back in 1983. Whew. What a bio. Commissioner, welcome to Enid. Welcome to the Enid Television Network studios. You are one busy guy, and we are very grateful and appreciative for you to be here today.
No, I really appreciate you having me. We've got a lot of ties here in Enid, and to have an opportunity to come up and visit with you and your audience, I'm really looking forward to it.
I just learned, besides, which troop is located here?
Troop J.
Troop J here, but you also have family connections as well.
I have a nephew here and his lovely wife, and
okay.
They're a long time, well, not long time, they lived here a couple of years, and they love it here.
Well, we appreciate you coming up here, and it's amazing the individuals that have a connection to Enid. It may be a roundabout way, but
right.
there is many of our guests have that. So you serve as Commissioner of the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety, and then also Brigadier General for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. How do you do that?
You know, just try to be organized. I've had these dual roles. Joined the Guard in 1983, joined the Highway Patrol in 1990, and just having good people that I work with and being able to manage my schedule a little bit to pay attention to both sides of the either uniform, the Highway Patrol uniform or the National Guard uniform, because I think both are really honorable professions.
Absolutely. Let's start with public safety first, Commissioner, if we will. Just tell us, we want to know more about the role of Department of Public Safety, but you in particular, tell us about your role as Commissioner, your responsibilities.
Sure. You know, as a Commissioner, you know, I joined the Highway Patrol in 1990, you alluded to that, and for the first part of my career, I thought the Oklahoma Highway Patrol was its own state agency. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma Highway Patrol is a division of the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety. So the Highway Patrol is always going to get all the attention because of the role that we play across the state, but we have about 600 or 700 civilian employees at the Department of Public Safety also. All your DL testing, records keeping, records that we monitor. When you see a big lumbering load going through your town with oversized load, we permit those loads. We do about 1,000 a day. That's how many loads are going across the state. So I'm really proud of the total role as the Commissioner, and I'm really grateful that the governor gave me an opportunity to serve in this position.
I guess I fit into that category because when I'm thinking of the OHP, I'm thinking as a standalone, that it is the Department of Public Safety. But in your role, you deal with the terrorism aspect. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, the Department of Public Safety is a lot more than OHP, as you said.
It really is, and I'm not trying to diminish the role of the patrol because that's a life or death profession, and I feel deeply about that. But there's so many ways that DPS affects just people in your communities and around Oklahoma. whether it be driver's license testing, CDL testing, or the terrorism piece that you talked about. We're always vigilant about that. There's a big issue going on now with the pipeline protests. And if you look at what took place in North Dakota,
right.
$30 million worth of damage there. That pipeline is taking place here in Oklahoma. So we're trying to be very proactive, very leaning forward so that we can prevent something like that happening in Oklahoma. And so we're very vigilant when it comes to things like that.
Just a few weeks ago, General, we had General Robbie Asher visit us here at Enid Television Network Studios, and he was telling us a lot about the support role of the Army, National Guard here in Oklahoma, especially when there's tornadoes, there's storms, or any disaster, that they're in the support role. They're not really the lead role. They're there to support.
Right.
So, Brigadier General and you're the Assistant Adjutant General. Can you tell our viewers basically your role there in the Army? Oklahoma Army National Guard.
Sure. I was fortunate enough to be promoted to Brigadier General in the fall of 2014. So I'm General Asher's Assistant Adjutant General. And like you talked about with natural disasters in the state of Oklahoma, if there's a fire, or a flood, or a blizzard, the National Guard is right there. And ironically, we work side by side with the Highway Patrol, so I'm always in a pretty unique position to have visibility on both organizations. But pretty much any time the boss can't be here or he's engaged elsewhere, it's my role as the Assistant Adjutant General to step in and be there in his behalf.
As we were talking before our interview today, I had seen a lot of your presentations, if you will, or your interviews on Oklahoma City and Tulsa media. So you're very visible with Oklahoma Army National Guard and also as Commissioner of Department of Public Safety. How does that role fit you? Because you seem to be the face, if you will, of the Department of Public Safety. Because people look to you for answers when they come to interviews.
That's right. I'm just trying to do the best that I can with it. When the governor moved me from major to commissioner, it's kind of a bit of a learning curve to jump that many steps, but I've been at it 7 years now, and I think the one thing that the public demands is an honest accounting of what your agency is doing or what's important to your agency. And sometimes I have to answer very difficult, very tough questions,
Sure.
But the truth is what it is. And if there's things we can share, certainly, but to the extent that I can share information about what's going on with our agencies with the public, because the public deserves to know. So that's why you see me sometimes answering some of these difficult questions.
And there's really not a book. You can't turn to page 17 in the book to figure out how to answer that. It's kind of quick thinking, if you will. Thank you for joining us today on City Connections. My very special guest today, all the way from Oklahoma City, is Michael Thompson. Mr. Thompson serves as, excuse me for calling you Michael there.
No worries. That's what my mom named me.
Is the Commissioner of the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety and also is a Brigadier General in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. General, if you would, just kind of tell our viewers some of your notable command assignments, if you will, because they can go to your Department of Safety website and they can look at your bio, which is rather impressive. So you have a lot of credentials. Can you share some of your notable commands and where you've been? I know you went to Iraq, is that right? Or Afghanistan?
Iraq a couple of times.
Okay, because I remember reading that in the bio.
Yes, sir. So in 2002, I went with a group of soldiers from this part of Oklahoma, the 179 Infantry, which is based, a lot of people live in Enid and drive to drill. And we got sent to Kuwait just on a normal peacekeeping safety mission to do static security. And then the war started, and we were in Kuwait. And then there was a shortage of soldiers in Iraq, and the call came out, if you're in the area, load up, you're going to Iraq. So we went from a total static security mission to full-scale combat in a matter of like less than a week and a half. And our soldiers did so well with that. I'm so proud of how our soldiers performed in that. It's one of the proudest moments in my career to being the Sec Corps commander for the 179. Another notable for me, being caught to Katrina. Wednesday, on August the 31st, I'm doing my job as a captain with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, 2005, and I get a call that we're going to Katrina. I said, okay, when? Now. So I basically went and showed up at the Armory that evening. I was there by 7 p.m., packed and ready to go. And by Friday afternoon, I was in New Orleans, which was just remarkable to me. When you think about truck drivers and police officers and farmers dropping everything that they do, put on a uniform, get on a plane and go to New Orleans. And I'm so proud of New Orleans because I really felt that we made a difference there. When we left, I could see the difference that the Oklahoma National Guard had made.
Well, we're certainly proud of our affiliation, the City of Enid, with the Oklahoma Army National Guard. Our city manager, Gerald Gilbert, or Colonel Gerald Gilbert,
great guy.
We appreciate his leadership as a city manager, but also his leadership and his commitment to the Oklahoma Army National Guard. As you mentioned earlier, you joined in 1983 the Army National Guard. So my question to you is, why was military an option for you or on your to-do list?
You know, I graduated high school in 1981.
And that's Purcell,
Purcell,
correct?
Oklahoma.
Okay. So you're a Dragon, is that
I'm
right?
a Purcell Dragon, absolutely.
Okay. Sorry,
Very proud
I know
Dragon.
that's personal information, but I'm a Perry Maroon. So,
okay.
so those things are important to me. So, okay, Purcell Dragon, and you graduated from high school.
Yeah, and I'm growing up in Purcell, you know, and I visit a little bit about backgrounds, but, you know, when I look at these titles, that's why I don't take them attached too much to them. My mom called me Michael, and titles really are just titles because my mother was a maid. I didn't have a dad. So you're growing up poor and you're figuring out how are you going to get through life, how are you going to accomplish some of your goals. And the military was always there. And I just wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than what I am, something bigger than myself. And I joined the military, had no clue what I was joining, what I was going to do. And here, 33 years later, here I am still at it. And, I have a deep admiration for the Guard and the military and the role that the military plays in our nation's defense.
Well, we want to take a short break and come back and talk a little bit about some of your education credentials a little bit and how that impacts the two worlds that you live in today. So, again, thank you for being with us on City Connections today. My very special guest, Michael Thompson, serves as the Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety and also as a Brigadier General in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. We'll have more with Mr. Thompson right after this. Welcome back to City Connections. Thank you for staying with us today. My very special guest, Michael Thompson, serves as the Commissioner of the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety and also as a Brigadier General of the Oklahoma Army National Guard. You know, jokingly, I was talking about all the degrees and education credentials that you had, Mr. Thompson. And I remember my mom telling me that school is never out. And that was kind of a depressing thought at the time because I wanted school to be out. But she had a bigger picture of education than I had. And I've noticed that you have a bachelor's degree from Langston, master's from Oklahoma State, graduate of the Army War College with another master's degree, graduate from the FBI National Academy. So you have spent some time with the books. So my question is, education definitely is important to you. How does that prepare you for your role as a Brigadier General in the National Guard, but also as Commissioner? A lot of education here. It's had to have helped.
Absolutely. I'm a big advocate for education. For me, the big push is the military made it mandatory. So it wasn't as if I had a choice. I mean, when I was a captain, the military, the Army came out and said, if you want to be a major, you need to have a bachelor's degree. And don't
sometimes we need that type of encouragement?
We need a little motivation. Because frankly, I'd gone to college on a basketball scholarship. I was a student athlete, and I paid more attention to being an athlete than a student, and I'd gotten married, so I thought it wasn't in the cards for me. But I really wanted to keep going with the military, so I just started working at night and on the weekends, and before long I had that degree from Langston University, and I was so proud of that. And you know, I have two sons, and I really wanted to set a good example for them, and my wife was very supportive. And once I got the first bachelor's degree, I said, well, I can do this master's degree, and then I got the second master's degree, and I started on my doctorate degree, but then all the mobilizations kind of changed that, so
Sure.
I've kind of postponed that dream a little bit. But, you know, my oldest son has graduated from West Point. My youngest son now is in medical school at OSU, so the example that I set for them, that me and my wife collectively set, it's really something we're proud of and something I'm
sure.
very much an advocate
Well,
for.
congratulations, and I know you are a proud dad.
Overly proud.
To see those achievements. Well, I was viewing the website the other day, Department of Public Safety, and I ran across this term. So the Oklahoma Highway Patrol Call of Honor.
Right.
Now, you've been a trooper since 1990.
Right.
Now you're the commissioner.
Right.
Can you tell us, I hadn't seen that before. What is the Call of Honor?
It's really our agencies, the Highway Patrol's effort to really articulate how strongly we feel about the basic principles of being an Oklahoma State Trooper, as far as loyalty and respect, dignity and honor. And we just put it into words as this is what the expectation is if you're going to go and wear the Oklahoma Highway Patrol uniform and go represent us across the state of Oklahoma. We want you to add to our profession. We want you to act with a certain measure of dignity and respect and treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's really what it boils down to, is just dignity and respect.
Well, one of my favorite persons of the OHP was Chief Gary Adams.
One of my favorite people.
I was introduced to Chief Adams back around 2001 up until his retirement. And I can see where he would fit into this Call of Honor mindset. But I was very involved in Special Olympics Oklahoma at the time. And Chief Adams was very supportive of those efforts for me. And Chief Gary Adams was a special guy. Well, let's talk about a topic that was in the news here recently. People, access Vance Air Force Base here quite often,
right.
And you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get on the base. Rightly so. You just don't want to gingerly walk onto the base. But the topic is Real ID, and I think this was passed in the federal government branch, if you will, back in 2005 or 7 or something like that, and then it started impacting the conversation in Oklahoma here recently. Tell us what Real ID is all about and where we're at with that.
Sure. President Bush signed Real ID into act in, I think, the spring of 2005. A couple years later, in 2007, Oklahoma signed a law that said we will not comply as a state with Real ID. And we've gone this many years living with the consequences of that. Unfortunately, there are a lot of requirements for Real ID in order to board a plane or gain access to a military installation. And it doesn't look like the federal government's going to back off of it. So it became very important for Oklahoma to address this issue in legislation and take the first steps to be Real ID compliant. The governor signed it into law. That's the first bill she signed. And now the pressure's on us, the Department of Public Safety, to make this happen. And just so your viewers know and the people that you have conversations with, Real ID, the biggest thing about that is verifying documents, verifying that when you hand someone a document that you really are who you say you are. So if you have an Oklahoma driver's license, if you're handing that to a banker or you're going on a military installation or you're handing it to a police officer, that person holding that Oklahoma license has a measure of confidence that you really are who you say you are on the face of this license.
And that's where we've become as a nation, I guess. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or as kids we were growing up, that wasn't a big deal. I mean, about identification. You were a man of your word, or your word was your bond. But times have changed.
Times have.
We are in a global community, and it forces us to address things like that. Well, let's continue along on the lines of Department of Public Safety. There's a statewide program called NDUI program.
Right.
Tell us, how's that working?
It's working great. NDUI's only been around since the spring of 2014, so it's something that came to be under Governor Fallon. Just to kind of check a couple stats on the way up here. Since that time, we've taken about 1,430 impaired drivers off the streets of Oklahoma. That's a lot of people.
How many?
1,400.
Wow.
A little over 1,400. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol is a statewide organization, but we work with our partners in Enid and the municipal police departments and our county sheriff departments, and we'll all group together there to target these areas where we know these impaired drivings are taking place. And the thing about it, we'll announce when we're going to have a DUI checkpoint, and we will still arrest dozens and dozens of people at these events. It's just unbelievable that we'll tell people that this DUI checkpoint's going to be in place from this time to this time at this location, and we still have impaired drivers drive through it, and we take them to jail. It's incredible.
Well, I'm glad to hear the report of success on NDUI. Well, Commissioner, for a young person that's watching our interview, and this is going to air, it'll end up on YouTube, but it's on Enid Television for the next few months. And a variety of people watch these interviews. And so that young person that's watching, and they're hearing your story about growing up in Purcell, some of the challenges you face, but you saw the military as a way to provide the avenue for education. You sense the importance of education. So if that young person's watching you, and they're on the fence, if you will, they could go this way or that way, and they've seen how you've turned out. They see that you, in your professional career, you're the Commissioner of Public Safety. And then this is a one-star general, Brigadier General. If this guy can do it, maybe I can do it.
Absolutely.
What would you say to that young person that they don't know which way to go, but you have a word of encouragement for them? What would you say?
I would just tell them to follow their dreams. Don't allow anyone to tell you you can't follow your dreams. Push hard, set achievable goals, and try to meet those goals and continue to set the next goal. Just because in life, occasionally, it isn't about where you start, it's about where you finish. And if you're willing to work hard and do the right things and make good decisions along the way, there's no reason you couldn't be every bit as successful or more successful than me. I just benefit from God's good people in my life, but there's no reason that you couldn't go out and be as successful as you want to be in life.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because that was one bit of advice shared with me way back, sophomore or junior in high school. This gentleman said, Steve, always surround yourself with the best people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that takes care of a lot, doesn't it?
That takes care of a ton.
Yeah. Our special guest today, Michael Thompson, serves as Commissioner of Department of Public Safety here in Oklahoma, and also the Assistant Adjutant General for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. We've got a couple more questions for the General right after this. Thanks for staying with us today on City Connections. We'll be right back. Welcome back to City Connections. I really appreciate you taking time to stay with us today, and forgive me for repeating myself, but we just have the best guests. They take time out of their hectic schedule to try to keep us updated here in Northwest Oklahoma on what's going on. And Michael Thompson, again, serving as the Commissioner of Public Safety, is with us today here in the Enid Television Network studios. Commissioner, in the news in the last few months, budget is always a concern in government, if you will, but I know budgets restraints has impacted the OHP and Department of Public Safety. And there was kind of this conversation going around about the limiting of mileage for troopers of I guess how often they're on the road or whatever. Just kind of give us an update of the budget and the challenges that you face in leading the Department of Public Safety.
Sure. You know, budget's a huge issue for me. And it's one of the things where I spend a lot of time, particularly where we're at in this point in the session right now. We have to have a competitive budget in order for us to have a patrol school and get new troopers out there to replace those folks who are retiring, and to do some of the things around the state we need to do that doesn't get enough attention, like the DL services and CDL testing and that sort of thing. But the reason you've heard me talk about budget so much, last year's, our FY17 budget, it was just devastating. Well, we didn't have a patrol school in 2017. We were having conversations about not having one in 18. If we have a conversation about not hiring troopers until 2019, I really think we're going to put the state and the Highway Patrol in a hard place. So that's why I'm working so hard for it. And I get it, there are so many competing interests for this budget, and we're all in the same boat. But for me, the Highway Patrol is a life or death profession. It saves lives. It prevents people from being injured across our state, and being able to fund a patrol is probably is my most pressing priority right now, unfortunately.
Well, lot of people may not be aware that the schools don't automatically happen every year
That's right.
for trooper school, if you will, and yet you have people retiring or people leaving, after many years of service, and so the budget really impacts how you keep the numbers up.
And you mentioned, sir, the mileage restriction. I don't want to do that. It's not popular with our troopers. It's not popular with our communities across the state of Oklahoma. But we're on a 100-mile mileage restriction right now. But a lot of folks don't realize that just to patrol, just the highway patrol part, not the rest of DPS, just to patrol, we spend $3.6 million on fuel every year. So when we have a budget shortfall, we're going to tell people to restrict their driving. We're going to do everything we can before we have a discussion about furloughing state troopers, because we've never done that in the history of our organization, and we're celebrating 80 years of service this month. And I don't want to be the first commissioner to say we're going to furlough troopers, because I think it would be devastating.
Well, Commissioner, our time has really gone by quickly today. It's been a real joy and a real honor. First off, let me say thank you for your service to our country. And I failed to mention that there at the beginning. And so we're down to our last question. And I would just really like to give all of our guests an opportunity to speak to our viewers. And as Commissioner of Public Safety, and also your role in the Oklahoma Army National Guard, feel free to use this opportunity and speak to our viewers. And there'll be a camera out there to capture this, and you can talk to the folks, as I say.
Okay, sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity.
You bet.
I would say the thing that keeps me up at night right now is the state of our Oklahoma Highway Patrol. As the commissioner, I know some of our services may be limited due to the fact that we can't hire the personnel to put across the state. But our Oklahoma Highway Patrol today, as we sit here, is smaller today than it was in 1990. In 1990, we had 825 state troopers. Today, we have 792. We have to fund the Oklahoma Highway Patrol to go out and do the things that we ask them to do on a daily basis. This community has always supported the Highway Patrol and DPS, so I would ask you to contact your legislatures and ask them to support the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. We haven't had a patrol school funded since FY15. We're losing people every year, and we just really get to a point to where it's a life or death situation, and that's my most pressing needs, and I deeply appreciate your consideration.
Well said. Commissioner, let me shake your hand and give you one of these on behalf of the Enid Mayor, Bill Shuey, and our city commissioners. Enid turned 123 years old last year.
Oh my gosh.
So we have a commemorative coin medallion that says 123, and we have a little promotional video that we highlight the Enid community with the numbers 123. But we like to give our dignitaries, and you fit that category today with our special coin. And we just appreciate you taking time out of your hectic schedule from Oklahoma City to come up here and be with us at the studio today. So
well, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And come back anytime. You have family connections and you have work connections. Come back and give us an update on some things that are going on. But here at ETN, you are welcome to visit.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining us on City Connections. Great guest, right? They just keep on going. And thank you. We do these programs because we want to provide great programming for you to enjoy. And I get feedback all the time from the individuals that enjoy our guests. So thank you for sharing that. Again, I'm Steve Keim, Director of Public Relations and Marketing, and also the Enid Television Network for our great city, Enid, Oklahoma. Thanks for being with us. I look forward to another show on City Connections. Until next time, make it a great day.